So, I recently watched Markiplier's Iron Lung, and I enjoyed it. That's it. You can stop watching now. Don't go do your thing. Don't let me disrupt whatever you're doing. Why are you still here? Oh, right. You noticed the timeline. Okay. So, yeah, there is obviously more. So this movie is based off a video game with the same name, of course, and I did try playing this game myself, but it wasn't really my cup of tea, despite it being in one location. It's kind of like a base under siege type of thing. And so I wanted to give the movie a go, despite not really knowing much about the game itself and what it's all about. Despite actually watching it, I can't really say much about what it's about, because I don't really know myself. All I can say is that I thoroughly enjoyed it, and parts of it reminded me of one of my favourite games of all time, Soma. Mostly because of the setting, and also because of how the characters interact. Also the fact that the main character is called Simon. I don't know if that was influenced by Soma. I'm gonna pretend it was, lol. Also, apparently Simon is a spoiler as a name. I'm not I've seen in like communities that people try to spoiler the name. I don't know why. It's just a name. I don't know why. The filming of this film, is just amazing, absolutely amazing, and the atmosphere and the sound design is just mwah, chef's kiss. I love how he's just interacting with everything around him, and I don't believe anything that he's interacting with is CGI, like it's all practical. Plus, this character Mark is playing literally actually feels like a person, and that you're going along the journey, his journey into the descent. A lot of movies nowadays, unfortunately, suffer from either second screen viewing and/or characters just existing to serve the plot and not be their own characters. I mean, you understand what this character wants and his motivations. I feel like a lot of movie characters kind of lose this element in service of the movie just, you know, being more spectacular for the audience. I mean, I do get why, because like, you want to be as safe as possible to generate as much income as possible. But then you just, you know, suffer with having bland characters that either don't create conflict or don't participate in the conflict. Okay, now going back to this movie. I loved how they went for the whole cosmic horror route. Well, at least that's how it seems. And they stuck to the task of not showing what it physically looks like when animated. All they have is a picture, and the picture is all that is needed to send shivers down your spine. You know, I watched a video recently of someone critiquing... Stranger Things 5 finale, and why the Mind Flayer, that didn't work then, but it worked on Stranger Things 2. It's not solely about its existence, but more so how it's perceived. In Season 2 of Stranger Things, it presents itself as this shadow in the Upside Down. But then at the end, Stranger Things 5, it presents itself as like an actual physical thing. Now, I would talk about why that's not really like a great thing, but that would be spoilers, and I'm talking about Iron Lung in this video, and not Stranger Things lol. All I'm saying about this movie is that I like the cosmic horror elements in it, because it really makes you horrified about what could happen when you go deeper and deeper. It's kind of like playing a video game that you feel like you shouldn't. The deeper you go, the more terrifying it becomes. Once again, I don't personally understand everything that's going on in the film. I'm not really like that big on the lore side of things. But what I do know is that I feel so bad for Simon. He just wants to go home, and they have to put him through all of this because apparently he's all they have left. Also, I know that Mark is acting as Simon, but there is still some of, Mark in there, lol.
Of all the fucking things. I swear, if I have to read fucking manuals, I'm gonna leave this.
Now, I've been watching Markiplier for like a long time now, and I've seen his like interactive web series on YouTube, like Date, Heist, and well, Space. This guy is such an inspiration. And I hope I can create things that people love as well. I initially wanted to actually watch this after watching his TV show Edge of Sleep. For the record, I know that's not actually his. He technically just acted in it, and I think he kind of helped with the editing. But yeah, I've been wanting to watch that for a while, but it just hasn't really been available in my region yet. Although, it is now available in my region, and I still haven't even seen it yet. Why? Well, firstly, it's just because I've been busy. And sometimes I've been accidentally busy on the wrong things, in which I've learned from that mistake now. Since both of these projects involve Mark, I think I'm going to intertwine this and me talking about that show in like one video. So I guess look forward to that part. So because I saw Markiplier's movie Iron Lung, I thought it would be fitting to watch something else he's been in, aka The Edge of Sleep. Before watching the show, I already had an idea that the show was kind of confusing to watch, but I didn't really understand how confusing it was. Now I do. Now, because it's a 2-hour piece of media broken up into 20-minute episodes, I felt it was kind of easy to binge through it. Now, did I enjoy the show? Heck yeah, I did! Did I understand what was going on? Half the time, yes. The other half, I'm not so sure on. Would I recommend the show to anyone else? I would, definitely, I would. But I would also likely mention that it might be a bit confusing. So I already saw Markiplier's acting from Iron Lung, but I would argue that his acting performance was better in the show than that movie. Obviously not to undermine his performance in Iron Lung, but his performance didn't really do much, at least for me. The show, however, I felt it did like so much better. I think this is the second indie media project that I've seen which includes a YouTuber. The other one that I saw was called Tell Me How I Die, and this was released in 2016. And that one includes Ryan Heger. It also includes Nathan Kress, who previously played in one of my favourite shows of all time, iCarly, although he's not a YouTuber, so I'm not really sure why I'm including him here. But I'm going to do it anyway! One thing I will mention before we get into spoiler territory is I really like the premise. I find that the premise is very interesting and is such a hook for me. Unfortunately, how it ends, isn't great. I will admit, I thought it ended in a pretty shit way. Okay, so now we get into the spoiler territory. So go to this timestamp, or go to the next chapter to avoid the spoilers, of course. So these people are dying due to falling asleep, and the whole premise of the show is trying to stay awake, which in itself is a pretty terrifying and difficult thing to do. At first, the characters are talking about a potential virus that's spreading and causing people to die when falling asleep. So already this feels like a biohazard that's spreading nationwide or globally. Although, later down the line, we find out that apparently there are these dreams that's causing all of this death, which, to be frank, it feels a bit more like Silent Hill inspired. Not that there's fog or anything, but the idea of dreaming and dying in your dreams. One of my favourite Silent Hill games, Silent Hill for the Room, kind of delved into this idea, but like a little bit differently. There's also this elephant creature thing that's infiltrating people's dreams, and because they can't fight back or don't know how to, they get sucked in and stay, aka they die. There's also this cult that are apparently called Dream People. I don't really know what to make of them, really. As I mentioned earlier, the ending was pretty shit. The reason why I say it's pretty shit is because it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, and it kind of just sort of happens. What I mean is, apparently there is this beast, and it has this triangular eye symbol thing. I guess if you've seen it or been consumed by it, you don't escape from your dream, and therefore you don't wake up. The reason why I'm mentioning this beast eye triangle thing is because, for some reason, at the end, everyone who died wakes up with their eyes open and this same symbol. And I kid you not. It just ends there. It just ends there. Like, are you for real? Are you for real? I assume there probably might have been like a second series coming, because like, how can it just end like that? If you thought Iron Lung was confusing, boy do I have something here for you. Apart from all of the confusing, what the apart from all of the confusing parts of the lore, I very much enjoyed the parts where the characters were just, you know, searching through the town, city, looking for the people and finding out that most of the people are dead. Those parts really felt like an end of the world emergency scenario, and I fucking love that type of shit. As for the characters themselves, Dave was pretty awesome, despite being Markiplier, of course. Dave's friend was kind of annoying at times, and I think his name was like Mateo or something like that. It's not that memorable, if I'm going to be honest. Linda was pretty realistic and helpful, and also important to like the entire narrative. Katie was just kind of there, but I suppose, you know, important for Dave's sanity. All in all, I'd say this group of characters did pretty well in conjunction with each other. Okay, I think we've now reached the end of the spoiler territory now. And as I mentioned earlier, despite how confusing this show was, I still enjoyed it. At least for me, if the characters feel like characters, then that's kind of what carries any movie or TV show for me. I mean, obviously, there's also got to be like a hook in there somewhere to like as to what's going on, but apart from that, it's the characters and the writing that do it for me. Now this might be slightly controversial, but I think I enjoyed this show's pacing just a little bit more than Iron Lung's pacing. That's not to say that Iron Lung has like shit pacing or whatever, like Although it can feel like a little bit of a drag. I just think this show has better pacing for a 2-hour piece that's broken up into 20-minute chunks. The show even feels like it's got like a higher budget. I swear down, like, it feels like a major corporation made this tiny indie show. It feels oddly weird, but also kind of surreal at the same time. Now, the budget might be significantly smaller compared to a lot of series nowadays. Dear God, their budgets. But this just felt high production. Well, at least to me. This might sound like I'm calling Iron Lung low production value, but don't worry, I'm not. I'm not. What I will say is that Mark made Iron Lung, and as far as I'm aware, Amazon helped with the making of Edge of Sleep. So I think it's kind of unfair to compare the two since they were So I think it's kind of unfair to compare the two since both were made differently. And now we're finally at the end of the video. Even though a lot of people have already made their videos on talking about Iron Lung and them reviewing it and talking about how they feel about the film, I'm doing something just, a little bit differently. As in, I'm including both of Mark's... I don't want to say Mark's projects because it insinuates that Edge of Sleep is also his project, but he stars in it, he helped with it, but it's not really his project. So it doesn't feel right to call Edge of Sleep his project, but because he started it and that he helped make it, it feels right to include it in this video with Iron Lung, despite it not being his project. But one thing I will say about Iron Lung is, I know that I already mentioned that I didn't feel the acting was as good as Edge of Sleep. That's not to say that the performance wasn't like top notch in Iron Lung, because like the performance was, because when I was watching, I can't remember if I already mentioned this when talking about Iron Lung earlier, but when watching Iron Lung and watching Markiplier, perform and act, I didn't really see Mark playing as Mark. I saw him playing as Simon. Well, what I'm trying to say is I didn't really see the YouTuber. I saw someone performing, acting, and I think that's what he was trying to do with his performance. Not to make it seem like, oh, a YouTuber is performing, but as like an actor performing. And that's what I feel like he did with this. But once again, I feel like he performed better in Iron Lung, but acted better in Edge of Sleep. I know that sounds weird to say, but that's just kind of how I feel. Because with Edge of Sleep, I saw him as Dave. I didn't really see him as Markiplier. And I didn't really see him as Markiplier or Mark either in Iron Lung, but I guess I struggled to see him as Simon. Now, I've seen comments about the film and how it feels a bit too long, and I can see where they're coming from, and I'm not going to say that I disagree. I do feel like the film was a tad too long, that they could have like cut a little bit of it out, but maybe the intention was to keep it that way because of artistic intentions. I don't know. I see so many comments saying that it's a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. It's just not a movie that you liked, and that's fine. And it just gets so annoying when I see comments like that, especially for like a passion project. Like, it wasn't made for you in mind, so it's okay if you don't like it. The movie is not for everybody. But anyway, I'm going to stop it right there because I don't want the video going on for like, I say too long, and then when I'm actually editing it, the video is not actually long, or not that long at all. I keep on thinking that I'm going to be making like a 40-minute, okay, maybe not 40 minutes, but like a 30-minute video about me talking about something, and then turns out it's only like, I don't know, 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Like, I always feel like when I'm talking about this stuff that I'm not respecting people's time, or I'm wasting everybody's time because, you know, me rambling about the same thing over and over and over again. That's why I write these scripts, so that I know that some scripts have, like, you know, multiple times of like writing it, you know, like you got this draft and then you got the next draft and then you got, so you write it multiple times. But when it comes to, you know, just putting together your thoughts in a or trying to put your thoughts in a non-rambly way, I feel like you don't necessarily need to write it multiple times to make it like, because in a way you're kind of optimizing it to suit the algorithm, I guess. And I personally try to avoid that. I mean, I have written a script like multiple times because I'm not fully happy with it, but sometimes you don't need to be so overthinking about your scripts like that, because at the end of the day, it's just you talking about your thoughts. I mean, if it's like a full-blown review or like a full-blown analytical essay into something, then writing your script multiple times to make sure that it's like right is fair enough. I understand that. But if you're just putting your thoughts out there, you do not need to write it multiple times to make it exactly right. That's at least my view on it. But yeah, I'm going to stop it there. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. I do wonder if, because of the timing of when this video might come out, then again, I might be editing it quite a bit, so it might take a while. So I don't think that the video is going to like perform well, like at all. But once again, I don't really care about that. All I care about is just getting my thoughts out there onto the channel. And I was very nervous about doing this at first, because I'm so used to just, you know, playing games, commentating over the games with my thoughts and, you know, reactions and stuff. And I just thought that people would not like this style of content because it's so deviating from my usual content. And from what I've heard from YouTube, they don't like it when you deviate from your consistent content, because then their system resets and has to like regather up an audience or something like that. But once again, I'm not trying to focus on the views and the audience. I'm just trying to focus on what I want to put out there. And if people enjoy that, and if they want to support that, then I appreciate it so much. This is just what I've been wanting to do, and I feel like I've done it in a format that I do kind of like, even though I'm still not completely sure about reading out a script in front of you, because it can sometimes be a little bit of a distraction for some people if they can tell that you're just reading from a script. But then again, it's how you put your thoughts into a semi-coherent way that doesn't sound like you're repeating yourself over and over and over again. it just feels a little bit more professional. And I hope it's okay. Then again, I think I get way too judgmental of myself, or I put so much pressure on myself because I feel like I need to do things in this exact way, or otherwise it's going to be received very poorly. Like people are going to hate it or feel bored by it or whatever. But I need to remind myself to not really give much of a crap about how people might perceive it, and just give more of a crap toward what I'm doing and how I do it, and if it feels right for me. Because if it feels right for me, then that's all that matters. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Hope you've all enjoyed. Now I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, everybody.